for the Great Reset. For those who can see this with their eyes. And in this new world, new financial world, it definitely looks like London is emerging as a key financial hub of the future. Because the new financial system is going for the digital assets, and the central banks and regulators are preparing the framework to emerge as leaders, it definitely looks like they are preparing themselves, right? It definitely looks like with these changes, a new wave of investors will jump onto these assets, which is kind of land. Currently, majority of these assets are in an area, say a land of restricted area for institutional investors due to the regulatory issues. Now, they are all waiting for regulatory clarity to step into these assets. It is to note this, now it is key to note that the move from China doesn't look great for majority of the coins which are mined in China, or at least they rely on the Chinese miners for the transaction updating every stuff. And on the other side, this is kind of something important. Central bank digital currencies, which is backed by their own currency, say the current fiat currency, is turning to be like a kick in the butt for the stable coins backed by currencies. Why? Because when central bank digital currencies are coming in, the room for a stable coin which is backed by any currency is kind of, there is no room left for them to play, or these were actually there because they were to close a gap, to solve a problem. But now, once the central bank digital currencies are out, that problem is not there. So stay tuned as we move on to further information, which kind of gives you a reinforcement of this information and the technical stuff to understand what really is happening in the technical side as well as on the fundamental side for these assets. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. If you saw value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button. If you would like to extend your support, you can use the PayPal, Patreon, or the XRP wallet address given in the description below. Now, let's jump onto these news. All of this definitely looks like it really is getting interesting as central banks and regulators are going on for the survival mode to get into the new financial system to stay relevant, because their fiat currencies are having issues. They are now looking for sources to stay relevant. Now, before going in through that, we can just look at the technicals. Now, even though on a daily time frame you may be watching red across the board for the cryptocurrencies, don't be negative, because unless you are a day trader trading like high frequency trading bots, you're kind of competing with them and trying to take out a little bit profit at a time, which it's kind of hard, but it's up to you. At least for those who view this asset class as an investment opportunity, they should be looking at these, right? If you are looking at the technicals, now this is a zoomed out view, a weekly chart of Bitcoin USD. If you look at the areas which I have highlighted here, and then the arrows pointing towards some important area in the charts, right? So here in the price, you can actually see that we are at a critical resistance and we are kind of showing bullish attitude, meaning the buyers are really suppressing the sellers. They're kicking them out. And at the same time, if you look at the MACD, you can see that MACD is bouncing, it's crossing to the upside, and that too on a weekly chart. And we are continuously building up that momentum and pushing to the upside. Remember, on the RSI, we are maintaining that trend. We bounced and now we are close to overbought range. That really is interesting, because once the price reaches above the this particular area, which is the overbought zone, it kind of gives a huge push for the price. Because if you look here, previously when we were bottoming out around 3000 and moved towards 14,000, you can see the RSI and the MACD were moving like crazy, right? So in the same aspect, you are going to get a push in the MACD and then the RSI moving into the overbought territory. So look back here when the price was kind of bottoming out and then moving to the upside, you kind of got this one in between and then a correction. So we kind of get this right now here. After that blowout here, slowly, then we came back into that territory, and each time the RSI was moving to the upside, price was pumping, correcting, pumping, correcting. So that is kind of what we are looking for Bitcoin from this point onwards. Now, if you kind of zoom in and look at it for Ethereum, it's also a weekly chart, but a closer look at the weekly chart, you can see this accumulation zone is still valid, meaning it just is there for you to understand that we kind of missed. If you did miss, yeah, you kind of missed that opportunity. And now it is a reaccumulation zone or retesting that accumulation zone before the pump to the upside. If you look at the MACD and RSI, it kind of shows you that in next medium to long term, it's going towards the all-time high and then kicking some sellers there and moving towards new all-time highs. Because the MACD on a weekly is showing something similar. Now with Bitcoin doing that and Ethereum doing this, and it won't be just the alt season which you are looking at. It would be like an extended bull market for assets like these, but still XRP would be suppressed. Why? Because it's an asset which moves kind of at the last. Now that's history. We don't know whether the same would be repeating or it would be traveling with other assets. But based on the regulatory clarity which exists for Ethereum and Bitcoin, we can easily say that no, that won't be the chance for XRP right now, right? So if you look at what Ethereum has been doing on a 3-day chart and then the MACD here, you can understand whenever the MACD crossed to the upside and the RSI was pointing to the upside, it moved like 115% here, 56% here, and 100% here, and something similar is happening. So if that is showing that the altcoin market is gaining momentum and it's going to push another 75 to 100%, that should affect other assets too. So then we kind of look at Chainlink and it kind of is moving, breaking towards the upside. You can see these target level. So that's not a bad deal too. So generally, if you are looking at other assets, just this is for Litecoin. And when you look at this is the setup which you can actually see. Now, if you understand these are happening in the wider market and then you want to look at what really is happening with XRP, you can just jump into XRP USD chart and look at this. Say we actually were moving in a positive trend, and right now on the daily candle, you can see that we are at that critical level and we are kind of breaking that to the downside. Once we get a close on this candle on a daily day, you will understand what really is happening. Now, if you are looking at that, you should also understand there would be always a standard deviation left there. Now, we are not clear at this point where it would be, but based on this one, you can understand there is a support level at this area. It would be kind of, say, kicking out some buyers here, those who trade the market with stop losses here, and next time it should probably be somewhere here, say 0.245, 0.243 area, kicking some of the sellers out and then some of the buyers out and then moving to the upside again. So that is a probability which you can see there. Now let's actually dive into the fundamentals from this point. So this appears on the time, right? And it shows the Great Reset and some part of the world, it looks like it's being prepared. Now, yes, you have to actually look at that the safety measures are there and everything is going on. The construction of the new financial system or the new world is going on. Now, as we just highlighted, London may start eating New York's lunch. Now, that rivalry based on the previous global reserve assets, say pound sterling, and then which turned into dollar. And if you look at that, there is a chance that they are still trying to compete with dollar and emerge as a leader at a time when the concentration is moving towards digital assets. And while looking at digital assets, it really shows like this asset class is kind of emerging as a hero. Say Bitcoin has outperformed major other assets in 2020. Let it be gold, silver, or any other asset which you are looking at, it really did that. And central banks really look like they are moving on for this, and the dual offline wallet for China's central bank digital currency is ready to be tested. Now, you definitely have to understand China as a country where you have an authoritarian regime, and it's not the same case in the other areas of the globe. So if they have to go in, they need all those approval from the elected politicians, where it can be like a drama. It kind of gets into what's currently happening in US. Some will say it's needed, some will say no, it's the thing of future, we don't need it right now. So that issue is still there. Now, R3 doubles London office size in anticipation for growing branch. Now, you have to understand that happened last year, and right now we kind of get this. Now, it won't have direct connection, but it really looks like they are looking at this financial system using new framework, new technology, and they understand that it's actually a good place to be, because the regulators are coming out giving you proper, clear regulations, which is the thing of future, and new technology is emerging and you really need that. Now, why is this a bit of a bad news combined with others? Now, this is kind of just a bad news for stable coins, and this one is generally a bad news for the entire crypto sphere. Why? Because if China is going to do a complete ban on these and all, while they are pushing out their central bank digital currency, it won't just affect BTC, Ether, and the other coins which are mined by Chinese miners. It will generally affect the entire crypto market, because the market currently doesn't understand. When Bitcoin goes down, the other, in most of the exchanges, you use BTC or Ether as a base pair. So it kind of gets, a little bit confusing, but it kind of goes down together. If you look at charts, you'll understand majority of the asset fluctuate together. The correlation kind of is still valid there, right? So when you see these kind of move in any asset in which you are there, you have to understand there are something happening. And for this one, it's positive. XRP moving huge, right? From US to Mexico. Now, we already knew that this particular corridor is kind of the heart for XRP remittance platforms, right? Because they were pumping it hard. Now that other 4 corridors are there and trying to push the more and more volume through this technology, it kind of gets interesting, because if you are looking at this, you have to understand all of this is happening when regulators are kind of trying to come up with what they want, and to understand that they need to still keep their currency relevant. They need to still control the population, the transaction. And if then they are looking at the cross-border payments, it would never be a stable coin backed by one currency or another, because they don't actually want to do that. They would be probably going into a neutral asset, which is being highlighted by IMF, BIS, and others while talking about cross-border payments. And after Facebook, now PayPal is kind of going to launch their own cryptocurrency in just 6 to 12 months. So that is not a small move, because if you see technologies like company like Facebook and now PayPal, the payments provider, coming out and stating we are going to come up with our own cryptocurrency, that is kind of more than a validation for the entire space. Now, there are individuals who say this is just a bubble, it's over, there is nothing left, who really don't understand this technology and how it is going to evolve, because it's been evolving from all the day, and now it's moving towards the future. This is notable to understand that one of the richest Bitcoin investors alive just transferred a huge chunk in BTC, as Ethereum and XRP whales move millions in crypto. So the move behind the scene is happening. Now you have to actually look at what really is happening. Are they going to dump it? Are they going to, take it into their side and look at an asset, say, which hasn't done much, and then pump into it? Now, why do I actually say that? Because if you actually go back to, now I'm using Coin Paprika, it's up to you. You can actually go to anyone. And then look at the all-time highs and the current price fluctuation, how it has moved and all. Then look at the return rates for last 7 days, 30 days, 1 quarter, and a year. You can understand, say, for institutional investors, the 126% in profit is a significant amount, because they are not going to play with, thousands. They would be in millions and billions for their positions. So if they are taking out profit from these right now to buy back the same when it dips a little bit, now that's just a speculation from my end. That's how I am looking at it. On different assets which hasn't moved up in value, then it should be those in red right now, and for those assets the value should also be there. Now for XRP, it does have the value, but the issue is it do not have the regulatory clarity which these investors really want. So that's kind of a barrier there for the entire scenario, right? So now when you actually look at different initiatives from one end to the globe to another, they are all looking at something changing, right? Now Zimbabwe launches dollar-denominated stock exchange. Now this is just a bit confusing when you are looking Zimbabwe, another nation, they are denominating their stock exchange on dollars. Okay, cool. Now what if the dollar depreciation, the fiat kind of depreciates and a lot of cascading issues happen in the economy? It's going to be really worse for the investors. Now if you look at US side, JP Morgan kind of highlighted that they are looking at an issue in the stock market that can be a crash. Now at the same time, you can see Ant Group going for an IPO, and if that was the case, they would be kind of the biggest institutions in the world with 320 billion as a, that would be huge to see that Ant Group, a Chinese group which is going to be even bigger than JP Morgan Chase & Co., which is kind of the leader right now. So if we are talking to those aspects, it has to be understood that these are kind of there. Now when you actually talk about all these changes and then understand, we are talking about Great Reset and there is a chance for quantum computing and all, I definitely understand when I say quantum computing, there are individuals in the same space. Now I'm not bashing them, because not everyone has the same ability to go through, research publications, researchers, studies, reports and all, which do need time and a little bit of patience to read and understand what really is happening in the background. So anyway, look at this. Breaking news. It shows scientists have reversed time with a quantum computer. Now this has nothing to do with crypto, but what I'll say is this is a finding on physics and time. Yes, it's in a different industry, but what did they actually use as a tool to execute that? Quantum computer. So do you actually believe that technology is here? Now it's completely up to you. You can deny, you can say no, that's just out of their pocket, it just something is just making up like that and all. Then say AI has started a financial revolution. Now you really have to think many times. Now this is coming from the World Economic Forum. You can say it has nothing to do with this, it's up to you, but I'll say there is some links. But until the quantum computers goes like the common used technology, it would be another 8 to 10 years or 15. We don't know. But as of now, it doesn't look like it's going to be used widely, but the technology is still there. So the space which we talked about, a parallel system running with a new, just one for the common industrial use, like what we use right now, the normal internet, another one for the financial one, just to avoid the scams and give that extra layer of protection, it can be there. Global AI in Financial Services survey supported the EY, and Invesco shows impact of artificial intelligence will have on financial institutions. By 2030, fintech anticipate AI will have expanded their workforce by 19%. Now, when you look at the economy, a majority of the layoff, they are cutting down their workforce in almost every area, especially in tourism and travel and tourism area. But if you look at the fintechs, they're kind of doubling down, expanding, different regions, recruiting new positions, opening up new positions. It really is interesting. If you look at Ripple, the company, and statement made by Brad and Chris, you understand they are doubling down on XRP and their route, because they understand the direction which they have taken from this first step is correct. Just, there are a little bit of bumps and all in the way, But in the meantime, they are trying to solve this issue by recruiting more and more professionals into this area. And that's not a small thing, right? It's time to negotiate for your lease. Now, this is a general aspect. Now, why I'm saying this? Because if you look at the general market and you see kind of, profit taking around any asset, it can be due to the economic crisis. Now, if you are one of these guys who are struggling with this kind of issue, do think about taking profit. Now, it's not bad taking profit. No one goes bankrupt taking profit, but you should be wise enough to take only what you require at that stage to survive. I'm talking about crypto, the pump and all. If you just had 100%, 200% pump for your portfolio, if you managed to buy at the bottom, then that would be the case. But do understand, don't take out the entire stuff. And afterwards, even if you're buying it again, you may not get that stop loss at the bottom. If you're buying, holding for long term, that's okay, cool, no stop loss. You're just going to hold this asset for a long period of time. But do understand, this is happening around the globe, right? Everyone is struggling. Jobs are being cut off. Banks are being bankrupt. You see the irony there? It really is happening. So do understand, this technology is changing. The global reset is really happening. Even the United Nations kind of forecast that there would be millions of deaths just due to starvation. That's not a good thing, but do understand, the world is kind of changing. The health crisis is turning the world upside down. Still, there are opportunities. They all foresee fintech to survive, to expand, to grow enormously. So if you are someone looking at opportunities, do open your eyes. With that being said, that's all for today, guys. I hope you received value for your time. And if you did, please do support the channel. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. If you'd like to extend your support, you can use the PayPal, Patreon, or the XRP wallet address given in the description below. Now, Patreon will allow you to unlock more value for your portfolio with different assets. You can get these kind of charts, setups and all, and discuss your portfolio, look at what you should be thinking about, and other fundamental side of the assets which you do have in your portfolio. So guys, that's all, and I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.